Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Today is Tuesday, May 22nd, 2018. I'm Papa Bear, and this is What's Out There. Oh my goodness. I'm coming to you from the beautiful Papa Bear Welfare Studio here in Norway, Maine. It's nice and cloudy. We're getting ready for some rain. But to kind of catch up on what's going on here, of course, we've got this big coup going on with the government, and everybody's got a problem with Trump, and the corruption goes deep in the government. We're seeing this. We're watching it all unfold. And yet we still have people complaining, oh, Trump has got to go, Trump has got to go. Who are you going to put in there? No one has the answers. Everybody's quick to complain, but nobody's got the answers. And everybody's got questions. I get it. I have questions myself. But unless you're chosen or selected to be in that group to help make this big change going on, you're no part of it. You're in the background, okay? And what I'm saying in the background is that there's still this spiritual side, okay? The ether, that one force that connects all of us. Well, we're still connected. And the louder the voice gets, the more it connects and the more it embeds into the minds of people. And that's where prayer comes in. This is where prayer and group speech and things like that, that's where this all comes in. It's all a spiritual thing. It carries. Everything carries. Remember, voices carry? Anyway, this whole thing with the government really gets me because I'm watching. What's most frustrating is I get done with this show and then all this stuff comes out, especially on a Thursday, and I've got 4 more days to go, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? All this stuff has come out. By the time I get to it, it's going to be cold. But the good thing is that everything is heating up, and stuff is about to hit the fan. I'm going to play an audio here that was put in by Anonymous. It was made by Anonymous. By the Q team. And I don't know if any of you have been following the Q team or not, but there was a big controversy with Q and Alex Jones and this Roger Stone and a whole bunch of other people. And this is, it's kind of gotten out of hand. What's happening is you've got a lot of people looking for publicity. They're looking for their spotlight, if you will. Okay. And everybody wants the attention, especially Alex Jones. But anyway, I recorded a message here yesterday, and I'm going to play this because I'll never find it again, obviously. But I'm going to play this and let you know what this anonymous message is about. This is an urgent message. Please pay attention. No matter what race, gender, or religion you are, no matter who you voted for, no matter if you hate Donald Trump, no matter if you hate cops or government in general, no matter if you love the news on CNN, MSNBC, and hate all other channels, no matter if you're young or old, no matter if you give a damn about politics, world peace, rape, or corruption, very soon, terrible news will be spread, and it will seem impossible to believe. Horrible, sickening, unbelievable things. It will shake your world and may turn everything you believe in upside down. People you know will be accused of unbelievable, monstrous things. This could be people in Hollywood, politicians, journalists, pop stars, charities, religious leaders, institutions, heads of state, police officers, etc. We want you to know that good people have been fighting a silent battle behind the scene in order to save the world from terrible horrors. It was a lonely war. It was a silent one. Chances are you didn't even notice it. But you will soon. That's why I'm warning you, and why you must hear me out. We're just a bunch of anonymous people from around the globe. We don't want money or fame. We just couldn't watch the world burn down and do nothing. That's why we're trying to warn you. We have been supporting our president, Donald J. Trump, in his efforts to drain the swamp. I don't care if you like our president or not. I just want you to know that he will protect you regardless. Horrible things happen that will come out to light. Please don't be afraid. You'll be safe. Bad actors will be brought to justice. Good people will prosper and live happy lives. Children, adults, and slavery will be liberated. If you want to know more, search for QAnon. Be prepared for what you will find. Some truths are hard to swallow. Some truths are very hard to swallow. And that is the point, and brings me to another point that I'd like to make. A lot of people have heard about Weinstein, okay, and about what was going on in the film industry. And the Cannes, C-A-N-N-E-S, I believe, the Cannes Film Festival, they had their little deal, and there's a woman named, an actress named Asia Argento, and she made a nice little statement here, and I'm going to play that for you, just so you know exactly what's going on.
In 1997, I was raped by Harvey Weinstein here at Cannes. I was 21 years old. This festival was his hunting ground. I want to make a prediction. Harvey Weinstein will never be welcomed here ever again. He will live in disgrace, shunned by a film community that once embraced him and covered up for his crimes. And even tonight, sitting among you, there are those who still have to be held accountable for their conduct against women, for behavior that does not belong in this industry, does not belong in any industry or workplace. You know who you are. But most importantly, we know who you are. And we're not going to allow you to get away with it any longer.
And there you have it. So, this comes right into Hollywood. It's, believe me, like I said, like I recorded before, you're going to hear a lot of names and a lot of different people you thought were really genuinely good people, and they're going to be exposed. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. And it all comes down to Trump wanting to drain the swamp, of course, with the pedophilia and all of the, I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow with Peter Kling, but all of the bishops in Chile have resigned. They're all gone. The Pope, I guess, is supposed to be taking a vacation. And this, again, you know, this is all coming right into line with prophecy and all that. But a lot of people are getting frustrated with Sessions, Attorney Sessions, Jeff Sessions, and I was too. And I think my first clue was when I saw the tweet by President Trump that said, or that labeled him Deep State. Deep State DOJ. That was all it took for me. But, and then you've got, well, trust Sessions, trust this guy, trust that guy. And the thing is, all we can do is sit back on the sidelines and watch. And trust is one of those things we're just going to have to lean on, because that's all we have right now. Faith and trust. But President Trump declared war on Obama and the deep state, of course, and he says Sessions must obey one order or go. He made it pretty well known. Millions of American patriots are cheering after Trump recently blasted the deep state for conducting illegal spying operations on his presidential campaign under the Obama administration. In a sudden move that so many of us have been waiting for, Trump announced that he will officially order Attorney General Jeff Sessions to fully investigate the FBI's and DOJ's political surveillance of his campaign. He said in his tweet, "I hereby demand, and will do so officially tomorrow," which would be today, "that the Department of Justice look into whether or not the FBI, DOJ infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign for political purposes, and if any such demands or requests were made by people within the Obama administration." But that's the thing. I mean, we already know he was surveilled, right? Wasn't it Clapper that said, well, yeah, we did it, but we didn't do it to undermine the campaign. It was research. This was, yeah. And it is just a quick flip of the words, and all of a sudden, boop, it's down. And that's the end of that. Anyway, Trump demands, he wants the DOJ investigation done, obviously. And this has been going on, dragging on for well over a year now. And of course, Eric Holder had to get into this, right? Because he was an ex-attorney general, for the most part. He was a guy, unbelievable. Anyway, he put out a tweet, followed up to Trump, and it says, "Trump demand for DOJ investigation is dangerous, democracy threatening." I'm going to comment to that one. But anyway, DOJ response is disappointing. There is no basis, no predicate, and no time to stand for time-honored DOJ independence. That separation from White House is a critical part of our system. Eric Holder, right? Threatening democracy, Eric? Really? This guy was held in contempt of Congress for not releasing documents that they requested. Okay? And this guy says there's a separation from the White House and the DOJ. No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I think they're all part of the same deal, aren't they? They're supposed to be the whole... Yeah, that's pretty much it there. But anyway, I digress, right? Obama administration officials coordinated setup of the Trump, of course, the whole deal, and of course there's no evidence for that. The Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs released new emails on Monday night that allegedly showed that the Obama administration officials coordinated with each other to help CNN run a damaging story on President-elect Donald Trump based on salacious and unverified information contained in a politically motivated dossier financed by Trump's political enemies. The emails obtained by Senator Ron Johnson, a Republican of Wisconsin, shows that the Obama-era officials used coded language to refer to the Steele dossier. And then there's a timeline of events where the communications, and these are all in the committee's letter. You've got on January 6th, 2017, FBI chief sent an email to an unspecified recipient stating, "The director is coming into HQ briefly now for an update from the sensitive matter team." And then again, on January 6th, in the afternoon, Comey met with Trump. On January 7th, Director Comey memorialized his discussion with President-elect Trump by way of an email to senior FBI leadership. Director Comey wrote, "I said there was something that Clapper wanted me to speak to President-elect about, alone or in a very small group," Comey wrote. "Then I executed the sessions exactly as I had planned. And I said media like CNN had them and were looking for a news hook." So what they did was they put this stuff right into CNN. CNN is complicit in this coup, of course. I've been saying this for weeks now. But nobody's waking up. Everybody is still watching this stuff. Nobody's interested in the truth, and that's the problem. The truth is the enemy here. Let me move on. On January 8th, 2017, at about noon, then FBI Director Andrew McCabe sent an email to senior FBI leadership with the subject line, "Flood is coming." Mr. McCabe wrote, "CNN is close to going forward with a very sensitive story. The trigger for them, CNN, is they know the material was discussed in the brief and presented in an attachment." On January 8th, At about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Mr. McCabe emailed then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates and then Principal Deputy Attorney General Matthew Axelrod with the subject line News. Mr. McCabe wrote, "Just an FYI, and as expected, it seems CNN is close to running a story about the sensitive reporting." Then 2 days later, on January 10th, CNN ran a story about the unverified and salacious allegations made against the anti-Trump dossier, with BuzzFeed publishing the dossier within a couple of hours of CNN's report. So this was a collaboration. You've got BuzzFeed on one end and you've got CNN on the other. You've got one guy who feeds the information to BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed prints it. This guy takes it from BuzzFeed, it goes to CNN, and verified from the same source that gave it to BuzzFeed. So there's no real verification going on here. This is a whole bunch of back and forth, toss the ball back and forth, and we're going to lend it credibility just by saying, well, we've got two sources. Two is all it takes, I guess. So, and of course, on January 8th, Mr. McCabe emailed the then Deputy Attorney General. Yeah, I've already did that. I'm sorry. 2 days later, on January 10th, they ran the story. And then to date, there was no public evidence that the FBI ever investigated the leaks to media about the briefing between Trump and Comey. When asked in a recent interview by Fox News Channel's Bret Baier, Comey scoffed at the idea that the FBI would even need to investigate the leak of a secret briefing with the incoming president. Clapper, prompting Comey to meet with Trump to inform him of the dossier and the subsequent leaks to CNN, ignited much of the Russia hysteria that dominates the media's narrative today. After the media hysteria began, Comey refused to acknowledge what he had told Trump in private multiple times, that he was not under investigation. This is all, I'm thinking about this. I'm watching this whole chess game play out, okay? And it's a setup. You've got Trump who comes in and he sets up this council, and he knows they're dirty. He knows the whole council is dirty. So what he does is he's saying, here, guys, and he hands them a rope. Go ahead, run with it. I'm going to give you a rope. Run with it. What he's doing is he's going to give them enough rope to hang themselves. That's where that's going to come down. And it's coming down already. As a matter of fact, you've got this judges. These judges that want to, for some reason, take it upon themselves to say, okay, well, we can't, we're going to do whatever we want to do. We're not going to get rid of these illegals that are here because, well, we've got our own, we've got our own thing going on. So this, I had all this stuff lined up. God forgive me. I can't find this thing to save my soul. But anyway, there's an ex-CIA officer who was naming names. He exposes the deep state coup. Of course, it's happening. It's been going on, and it's basically what I've been calling this show when I put it in YouTube. It's the deep state. It's the ongoing coup, is what it is, and it's exactly what it is. Nothing can go this long and not be called a coup. It's just happening, and people don't see how many freedoms that we've lost. Everybody's hooked on this laws and the United States Code and this, that, and the other, and it's like, no, everything comes back to the law of the land, which is the Constitution, and it has nothing to do with the general public. Okay, yeah, you've got your rights, but the Constitution is like the Bill of Rights. Okay, the first 10 amendments are anyway, but there are limitations on the government. This tells them where they cannot go. All right, it's pretty laid out. You're not going to mess with our religion. You're not going to mess with our speech. Okay, as much as you hate it, it doesn't matter. It's not about what you like. It's about what is, and that's just the First Amendment. Okay, freedom of the press. And I talk about CNN, the ongoing coup. They're complicit. They are complicit because they're supposed to be reputable. The press has an obligation. They have a responsibility. With rights come responsibilities, and they're shirking those duties. They're not doing it right. They are a disservice to the community. And it's not just CNN, you've got MSNBC, but it's not the whole outlet. It's only certain journalists. You've got Chris Cuomo, who is one, Jake Tapper. These guys are hell-bent on knocking this president down. And I do not know why. I'm wondering if they were promised something. Okay? There's a civil war going on in the senior management in the upper parts of our government. And it's between the dark side and the constitutional side. There's never been anything like this in history. Well, of course, back in 1776 for the most part. And then we lost the Civil War. But anyway, it's extremely serious. And this is an extremely serious hour for our government, and especially for the constitutional freedoms. It's a global, there is a global criminal cabal that has penetrated into our government and now has senior level officials colluding, and I would argue conspiring to unseat the president. That's what Kevin Shipp said, former CIA officer turned whistleblower. And this guy, he goes right into the detail about the coup within the U.S. and its politics. It's been underway since 2006. The objective to overthrow America and destroy the outcome of the 2016 presidential election, the whole 9 yards. James Comey is also discussed. It's and he's referred to as a puppet for the likes of Hillary Clinton and Robert Mueller and more. Okay. Donald Trump even mentions some of his administration as making up part of the deep state. And like I said, deep state DOJ, right? But this is, behind this government sits an invisible government. They owe no allegiance. They acknowledge no responsibility to the people. Basically, the only way to destroy this government and get rid of this unholy alliance between the corrupt businesses and corrupt politics is the first task of the statesmanship. All right, that's the first thing we've got to do is get rid of these people. They're starting to get rid of themselves, okay? And they're starting to sort themselves out. Inspector General Horowitz finds that the FBI and Department of Justice broke law in the Clinton probe, and they refer to prosecutor for criminal charges. This was reported last Thursday. A long-awaited report by the Department of Justice's internal watchdog into Hillary Clinton email investigation has moved into its final phase, as the DOJ notified multiple subjects mentioned in the document that they can privately review it by the week's end, and will have a few days to craft any response to criticism contained within the report, according to the Wall Street Journal. And I've been going through, anyway, Inspector General Horowitz has found reasonable grounds for believing that there has been a violation of federal criminal law in the FBI DOJ's handling of the Clinton investigations, and has referred his findings of potential criminal misconduct to Huber for possible criminal prosecution. Now, did you hear what I said here? It says the handling of the Clinton investigations. Okay, these are Clinton investigations. They're not Trump investigations. They're Clinton investigations. This is why they're trying to foil him. And everybody's been saying right out of the gate, oh, they're investigating Trump. They're investigating Trump. Wait till they find out what Trump has done. They're not investigating Trump. That was well established. Well established. There's an investigation, yes. But it's an investigation into election interference. And what roles did the Clintons play in that election interference? Okay. There's a lot going on. Oh my God, it makes my head spin when I think about this stuff. This is crazy. But the Inspector General report, they're going to report Sally Yates is suddenly animated and agitated. She's tweet storming against Trump, giving speeches bashing Trump, spinning her role in the investigations in the New York Times. Yates appears worried about something ahead of the report. Keep an eye on these people. These ones that are screaming the loudest are the ones that are the guiltiest. The ones that, like Clapper and Mueller and Brennan, These guys are hollering. These are the three kingpins right there. Those are the three big guys. And if you get rid of these guys, first of all, you've got to talk about it with the media. All right, you've got to get the media on the same page, because this comes from consortiumnews.com, and I don't know how credible they are, but it's out there. And this is written by Robert Perry. But for years, Americans relied on the mainstream U.S. news media for information. Some folks were even convinced that the mainstream media was liberal. But the current reality is that major papers have become mouthpieces for the national security state while amassing a sorry record of deception. And this is by Greg Mayberry. In his farewell address to the American people in 1961, President Dwight Eisenhower delivered what turned out to be his most memorable public appearance, or public utterance, famously warning Americans about the perils of the growing military-industrial complex. He went on to say, "Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the industrial and military machine of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together." Although it was the military-industrial bit that most folks remember, it was the alert and knowledgeable part that also needed to resonate. Unfortunately, instead of an alert and knowledgeable citizenry, which Ike suggested was the only bulwark against the continued growth, power, and influence of this monster within, much of the American citizenry remained oblivious to it all. They either fell asleep at the democratic wheel or chose to remain ignorant of the already disturbing implications of the military-industrial complex's encroaching reach into every aspect of the American demos and polity. Anyway, the military-industrial complex was originally known as the Congressional Military-Industrial Complex, and it comes right from Congress. And the Congress thing, that's the thing we've got to look into now, because Congress... Am I the only one who has doubts about Congress? No, I guess not. Anyway, we're going to take this break. I'm Papa Bear. This is What's Out There. We'll be right back.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on LateNightInTheMidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, We need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
I got to get the shouts out here. bensound.com does the music. bensound.com. Bailed me out a couple of times here. Anyway, High Point Radio at the top of New Jersey, the highest point of New Jersey, bringing us into New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania on 100.5 FM and 1620 AM. And of course, 101.7 WCET, Columbia Talk. That's our mother station. We're on the Paranormal Radio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio. You can find us on all there. LateNightInTheMidlands.com and LNMRadioNetwork.com. Join us. We've got a Discord chat here. Come on over. And if you missed the show, we'll play it we'll play it 12 hours later on, on the Paranormal Radio app. You'll hear it 12 hours later. Or if you want to catch the archives, you can also catch them on YouTube. YouTube channel, What's Out There. Like, share, and subscribe, please. And you can join my 50 subscribers. Yeah. Anyway, back to where we were. Last week, or a few days ago, I heard someone talking about this 22 shooters a day thing. Okay. We've had 22 shooters, about one a day, and everybody's stuck with that, and everybody's, Fox reported it, everybody reported it. But believe it or not, this stat, pushed by CNN and the rest of them, this was debunked by Western Journal. Okay. Before you can work on any problem, you need accurate information. You need the truth. So basically, what we're getting here is during its coverage of that crime, CNN reported gun violence statistics but inflated the definition of school shootings to make them seem wildly more common than they are. There has been on average, one school shooting every week this year, the outlet declared in a headline on Friday. We're only 20 weeks into 2018. There have already been 22 school shootings where someone was hurt or killed. That averages out to more than one shooting a week. Well, there's a problem. Those numbers are exaggerated, purposely padded to give a false impression of mass shooting crime wave that doesn't exist. And that's exactly what journalist Tiffany Craig at KHOU 11 News in Houston pointed out over the weekend. She broke down the Texas incident and related claims. Okay, she separated the facts from the fiction and the exaggeration, or as we used to call it, did actual journalism, right? Social media has been abuzz today with this, Craig said. The first one is information that there were 18 school shootings in 2018. That number is not 18. It's not mass shootings like what you're seeing here in Santa Fe. These include smaller incidents that might be around schools or even suicides. And all those numbers get pooled together and they're presented in a way like this that instills fear in people. So this is a false piece of information that we want to let you know that. One shooting counted by the news channel, for example, involved one student shooting another with a toy BB gun. Nobody was seriously hurt. Another incident included by CNN to arrive at its numbers was an accidental discharge of a firearm during a public safety class. Preventable? Yes, but not really a school shooting. A 32-year-old man shot in a parking lot during a dispute after school hours. A possibly gang-related shooting of an adult at a house party near a university. You get the idea? Okay, this is the same number padding tactics that they use every time when they want to do this gun safety thing. Okay. And the same thing, assault weapons, all right, and semi-assault weapons, those are still buzzwords of the day, despite the fact that neither of those were used by the Texas criminal. Okay. And that raises the questions that Americans should carefully consider. Why do left-leaning groups need to exaggerate facts and pad numbers to push their agenda? Now, on another note, there was a report that said this shooter used, quote, less lethal weapons, unquote. Less lethal. Seriously. Is there anything as being like, I don't know, less pregnant or, it's crazy, less lethal. He used a shotgun. You think about this. Okay, shotgun. A shotgun doesn't do much damage. It depends. Are you using birdshot, buckshot, or slugs? If you're using slugs, forget it. You're not going to walk away. It's going to blow a body part off. It's gone. Buckshot, same thing. You probably lose a body part. Birdshot, that's the stuff when you're robbing someone's apples from their apple orchard and you get shot. Okay? Birdshot, that's the stuff that says don't come back. You're going to be picking that stuff out of your skin for a while. And believe me, birdshot it's not fun. But it's not what you go out and do that sort of killing with. If you're going to go out with the intent, you're going to do it with either buckshot or slugs. And then he had a 38. Well, a 38, less lethal than a 22? Or you know what I mean? No, these are, for all of you who are somewhat gun illiterate, I'm going to explain this to you. These numbers that they tell you, these are metric, okay? Or they're not metric, they're fractions. They're fractions that are divided into thousandths of an inch, or they're metric, like 9 millimeter is also a 38. A 38 is 0.38, which is 3/8 of an inch, which is roughly 9 millimeters, okay? 50 caliber, 0.5, half inch, all right? That's a big one. That thing will knock you on your butt if you don't know how to handle it. 22 is less than a quarter inch, 0.22, okay? 3/16 is 0.187, all right? So a quarter inch is 0.25. It's a 25 caliber gun. Is a quarter inch bullet. A 22 is smaller than a quarter inch, okay? And an AR is 0.223, okay? And since that 3 is smaller than a 5, you round it down, it's still a 22 caliber bullet. It's a small bullet. That's my point. How can you say if you want to say something is less lethal, then you may as well just start with the AR-15, because 223 you're not going to get. I mean, that is not lethal. Yeah, it might hurt, but then again, it depends on the kind of bullets you buy. You've got all that stuff too. Anyway, off my gun soapbox here for a minute. I want to talk a little bit about money, because Turkey is repatriating their gold. All of the gold from the U.S. They're going to take it all away, and they're going to ditch the dollar. This is from Zero Hedge. Read it by Tyler Durden. It says, after Venezuela, Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands prudently repatriated a substantial portion, if not all, of their physical gold held at the New York Fed or other Western central banks in recent years, 1 month ago, Turkey announced that it too has decided to repatriate its gold stored in the U.S. Federal Reserve and deliver it to the Istanbul Stock Exchange, according to reports in Turkey's Yeni Şafak. As we reported at the time, it wouldn't be the first time Turkey has asked the New York Fed to ship country's gold back. In recent years, Turkey repatriated 220 tons of gold from abroad, of which 28.7 tons was bought back from the U.S. last year. And now, according to a report by the Swiss Schweiz am Wachenade, forgive me, I'm going to butcher that one anyway. The repatriation is complete, with the Turkish central bank withdrawing all of its gold reserves from the U.S. due to the tense political situation. However, in a strange twist, instead of moving the physical gold to Istanbul, as the Turkish press reported in April, the Swiss newspaper notes that around 19 tons of Turkish gold is now stored at the Basel-based Bank for International Settlements. Oh, the BIS. That's just as bad. It was not immediately clear why Turkey would shift its gold from the New York Fed to the BIS, whose historical gold rehypothecation tendencies have been well documented over the years. That's why I expressed my disdain there. According to the latest IMF data, or International Monetary Fund data, Turkey's total gold reserves are estimated at 596 tons in May. That's up 5 tons since April, and worth just under $23 billion, rising 40% over last year. This makes Ankara the 11th largest gold holder, behind the Netherlands and ahead of India. So when it comes to gold reserves, I guess that the United States hits number 1, Germany is number 2, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, is 3, Italy 4, France 5, Russia 6, China 7, Switzerland 8, Japan 9, Netherlands 10, Turkey 11, India 12, ECB 13, Taiwan 14, Portugal 15, Saudi Arabia 16, the UK 17, 18 is Kazakhstan, 19 is Lebanon, and 20 is Spain. So as far as percentages of gold, we have the largest. But there are 3 veins where they're mining plenty of gold, so we're not going to run out of gold anytime too soon. And of course, HR 5404 has been introduced, so we may be going back on the gold standard. That would be good. But Turkey's gold repatriation comes at a sensitive time for Turkey's currency, the lira, which has been pounded for the past month and plunged all-time lows against both the dollar last week amid shifting double-digit inflation in Turkey, as the central bank continues to be terrified of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, or Erdogan, however they say it, and refuses to raise rates. Meanwhile, Erdogan has taken a tough stance against the U.S. currency, criticizing dollar loans and stating that international loans should be given in gold instead. And he is absolutely right. Here we go, my soapbox. Gold, money. The dollar is not money. The dollar is debt. He's correct. Dump the dollar. Eventually, people are going to do it. They're all going to do it. If we think back to the BRICS agreement, right? It was Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. All 5 nations were going to go to gold currency, 100%. Well, now if we want to trade with like Russia and China, Well, that's the R and the C in BRICS, okay? We're going to have to go to gold. Or we're going to have to do an equal amount of trade. You've heard about this trade deficit, right? We talk about trade deficits, which means we buy more than we sell. Okay, that's what the trade deficit is. We buy more than we sell. And everybody says, well, we've got this trade deficit. We've got a problem with that. You shouldn't have a problem with trade deficits. Here's why I say that. I have a trade deficit with the grocery store. Why do I have a trade deficit with the grocery store? Because I go and I buy stuff from there. They don't buy anything from me. Okay? That's a trade deficit. It's really nothing to worry about. Okay? But if you're swapping currencies, value for value, in trade, that is where the discrepancy is. This is where the rubber meets the road. Okay? And this is where the currencies come in as being key. Now you've got your dollar, which is a fiat currency, which is based on debt. No one can define the dollar in real terms or in asset terms. All they can tell you is, according to the Federal Reserve Act, that the dollar, or a Federal Reserve note, it's not a dollar, it's a Federal Reserve note, is an obligation of the United States. It's an evidence of debt. So even that doesn't define the dollar. No one can define the dollar. If you went into a court case and you asked the judge, you say, I would be happy to pay this back. All of it. Every dollar. If you can define what a dollar is. If it's just that little dollar sign, if it's that little symbol you're looking at, I'll print them up by the billions. And I'll give you one for everything you call a dollar. And which is basically what the Fed is doing now, right? The Federal Reserve, they just print it up, and then we're going to charge you face value for it. The thing is, you go to the bank, you borrow this money, and you're not borrowing it, you're creating it with your signature, okay? It's not an asset for them. They pulled it right out of thin air. They just, okay, it's new money, boop, here you go, all right? And then they tell you, you've got to pay it back. What do you mean you got to pay it back? Are you going to return it to the Treasury? Well, no, we're not going to return it to the Treasury, but you got to pay it back. Well, not only do I have to pay that back, but by the time you get done stretching this out over the full mortgage term, I've paid that and 2 times more. Okay, where did that go? Did any of it go back to the Treasury? No, because the Treasury debt keeps getting worse. And of course, they tie it right into the bank. And they're not separating asset money from created money. You've got 2 different kinds. You've got tangible and intangible, and they're working together side by side. And you can't mix tangible and intangible. It doesn't work. But that's what they're doing. They'll throw out a whole bunch of numbers in a computer, and they'll say, okay, here you go. Meanwhile, you take this fiat stuff that they just threw at you, smiled and said, hey, here comes another one, and then you go take care of your assets with it. You buy your assets. All of a sudden, somewhere down the line, nobody's promised the future, right? Somewhere down the line, you have a problem. And when you have this problem, they come in and they say, okay, well, we're going to take your assets now. So wait a minute. Whoa. I tell you what, why don't I just go ahead and, I created this the first time. And I don't know, and you locked me into the security agreement and told me I had to pay it back plus twice more. I tell you what, I'll create it for you again, okay? And that'll take care of that. We'll just call you done, and that's that. Or you can get smart about it and go right up to the front end of it and say, look, we've got go to the IRS. Okay, the original issue. This is the original issue. It's only 10%. I'll do the 1099 OID. I'll pay the 10%, which is the original issue discount, and we'll call it good. So on a $250,000 house, you get $25,000, right? So that's basically it. But money is we're going to go to the gold standard. Everything is going to be changed. Exactly when, I don't know. Boy, I wish I did know. But again here with Turkey, what some saw as an appeal for a gold standard by the Turkish president, Erdogan, added that with the dollar, the world is always under exchange rate pressure. We should save states and nations from this exchange rate pressure. Gold has never been a tool of oppression throughout history. In other words, Erdogan's latest excuse for the crashing Turkish lira was that there was not enough physical gold back home to launch a gold-backed currency. And now that Turkey just repatriated even more gold from New York, even if it mysteriously ended up in Basel, Erdogan would be able to launch a gold-backed currency if he wants to. Unfortunately, like they said last month, all signs point to the gold being repatriated only so it can be raided, pillaged, and promptly deposited in offshore vaults by members of the ruling oligarchy. Seen in this light, one wonders if Erdogan has not cut a deal with the BIS to deliver Turkey's gold to Basel, providing some much-needed yellow metal in a world in which the ongoing global physical gold shortage prompted banks to scrap reporting of gold forward rate, or GOFO, a benchmark of physical gold scarcity, in January 2015. There was a whole deal with that too. The gold valuation, the values of precious metals and things like that, LIBOR, L-I-B-O-R, interest rates and things. And I think there was a guy that was wrapped up in that whole LIBOR bit, and his son went to a theater in Colorado and shot the place up. You guys remember this, right? That kid's father was part of that, and we don't even know if the kid shot it up. I mean, somebody let him in the back door. He didn't look at all like him. The clothing was different, and the same thing with this school, the school shooting. There's something else that I really have to press on here. The name Parkland. There's a lot of stuff going on with things named Parkland lately, okay? The Florida shooting. Remember that box of bombs or ammunition or whatever it was that dropped into that elementary school in Texas? Parkland Elementary? Okay. Keep your eye on that name Parkland. There's something going on there, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. But that name seems to be coming up, and I think there was a third instance where that came up as well. So you might want to keep an eye on that as well. One last thing before I close it up here. Israel is a very touchy subject. I hate touching on Israel because a lot of people get sparked. You've got mental blocks and all kinds of stuff, and it's a really tough one. But this one I just wanted to let you know. This is from yournewswire.com. Israel has declared that Syria has no legal right to defend itself against Israel or any military attacks. Need I say any more? Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman said that he's concerned at Syria's ability to defend itself against incoming attacks and has urged the international community to intervene. Well, Moscow will supply the Syrian government with advanced S-300 missile system, the Russian Kommersant newspaper reported Monday, according to Hadashot News. Jerusalem Online reported on April 23rd, citing two Russian military sources, the newspaper said that the system will be provided to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for free and will arrive in Syria very soon. So the Russians warned the Israelis will suffer catastrophic consequences if they attack the defense system. So now you've got a thing going on here with Russia and Israel. You know, I remember talking to someone about this. Oh my God, I think it had to be 8 or 10 years ago, 8 years ago anyway. And I told him, I said, look, you'll know things are coming to a head. You'll know we're hitting near the end of the world when you see Russia go to war with Israel. And this guy said, no way, it's never going to happen. They're never going to go to war with each other. There's too many Ruskies in Israel. Okay, you see it yourself right there. Anyway, I'm Papa Bear. Thanks for listening. That is what's out there.
Premier law enforcement agency agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that we're discussing a little bit later in the text, the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?